After much hoopla and a veritable game of musical chairs for directors, Solo has finally docked the Millennium Falcon in theaters. Now that Solo has arrived, we look at what other characters deserve their own spin-off films in the Star Wars universe. Hint, nobody. Except Obi-Wan, maybe, I don't know. Solo marks the second standalone prequel set in the Star Wars universe after 2016's Rogue One, which introduced us to the rebels risking their lives to get valuable information about the fabled Death Star to Princess Leia and the rest of the Resistance. As a result, both films raise an interesting question of what exactly is gained by their existence, other than another $1 billion for Disney. Just like we already knew what would happen to the characters in Rogue One before we saw it, the same is true of the fate of Solo, because if Han died in this one, then he'd be a zombie in the original movies. Of course, knowing the ending doesn't mean a movie is bad necessarily, but while exploring new facets of the Star Wars universe is exciting for many fans, it can also be tedious for others. Fans weren't clamoring for a Han Solo origin story, and the franchise didn't exactly garner praise when it unveiled the genesis of Darth Vader. Still, some characters are interesting, and they actually have holes in their story between major numbered releases in the franchise. Numero uno on that list is Obi-Wan Kenobi, who went from looking like this to this in the span of about 19 years. What happened? That's what happens when you live on a planet with two suns. It's bad for your skin. Despite the grays, happens to all of us, Obi-Wan also went from being a top-ranking Jedi general to living a life of exile on Tatooine, the Star Wars equivalent of waking up in a roadside ditch outside of Reno, Nevada. I'm allowed to say that, I'm from there. A film exploring those years is already in the works, with director Stephen Daldry attached. Preferably, Ewan McGregor would come back in the role as the banished Jedi Master who must watch as a galaxy he fought to protect falls under the shadow of the Empire, and the only thing he has to drink is blue milk. Not only is Obi-Wan one of the most beloved Star Wars characters, but McGregor's turn as the Jedi Padawan turned master is considered the best part of the prequels, unmarred even by this scene of him riding a giant lizard that makes car alarm noises. Relaunching a McGregor-led film could capitalize on his established star power, and Disney might have a similar situation with Donald Glover. We're calling it now, the next film to be announced will be a Lando spin-off. Other characters whose names have been tossed about in the standalone conversation include Goth Vader, a big slug who is for some reason attracted to human women, and a bounty hunter who dresses up as a trash can. While these are interesting characters, they don't necessarily need their own standalone films. Darth Maul is a Sith apprentice with anger issues, and we already saw a fleshed out version of his story in the animated Clone Wars series, and really, after seeing him get giant spider legs, what else is there to show? Jabba is a gangster from a long lineage of slug goons who we already saw as a kid in the prequels, as a slug goon with his mobster family. Riveting. We also already know Boba's backstory, as he too is seen as a child in episode 2. And shocker, it was boring, despite the fact that it really shouldn't have been. His dad was a bounty hunter whose clones were used to start an army that took over the galaxy, and he saw his father beheaded by a Jedi Master in front of him. Why was that not awesome? The more interesting route for prequels and standalones would really be to delve into the staggeringly deep lore that the universe boasts. With 2 new trilogies already announced from The Last Jedi director, and my own personal enemy, Rian Johnson, and Game of Thrones creators Amanda Peet's husband and not Damon Lindelof, we may see the franchise explore the long-gone past of the galaxy far, far away and finally get a Knights of the Old Republic movie, or some films that actually move the franchise away from the grand opera of the Skywalker lineage. We get it. Thanksgivings are weird at the Skywalker house. The risk of churning out such spin-offs is the dreaded franchise fatigue, a terminal diagnosis for many a film series from Pirates of the Caribbean to Transformers. But if every new Star Wars title continues to rake in $1 billion at the box office, don't expect the studio to stop pumping out that sweet alien walrus milk anytime soon. So far, the standalone films have dealt with familiar plot lines and characters from the original trilogy that really just expanded on the established universe in the main films. But if you think for 1 second anything is sacred to Lucasfilm, then you clearly have never seen the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Here's your daddy.
What films would you like to see spun off in the Star Wars universe? Would you like to see a Chewie film? Let us know in the comments down there. Thanks for watching. Join us next week on another Heat Vision Breakdown.